Okay, so this is the walkthrough with React 2 for CS4. And so I asked how everybody's liking React. Um, React is cool. I don't know how to react. It's the initial setup of create React app that annoys me a bit. I mean, create React app should be pretty straightforward. Uh, it's supposed to make it a little bit easier for you to get going. Well, it's going to take a little while to set things up. Yeah. Having trouble keeping up with everything? What kind of things are you maybe having trouble with? My HTML is on the same page with my JS, and it's what I've been told not to do my entire life. Yeah, um, the styling is something that can really get to you if you do inline styling too, which I still haven't done with React. I don't think it's necessary, and I think having separate CSS file right now is nice for me. I don't. I'd have to see the benefits, because I'm not saying there's none. I just am new to it myself. Um, yeah, Christian. Yes, your source folder. That's just where you put all your files that are then compiled, or they're then then you have compiled into a dist folder, which you would actually serve up. So that way you can have code separated out and everything, and then afterwards you can um, have everything combined that needs to be combined, and minified or what have you, and that's easier for the server and browser to handle. But you still have your source file, which is easier for you to maintain. Um, so there's that kind of, it allows for that, and it just says, this is the part that really matters. Everything else is auxiliary. Um, oh yeah, that might be, as far as like when there's an error, I end up having to flip through all my tabs, and it seems like I always have a bug. Yeah. I mean, notice, make sure you look at the error. So it should tell you, you'll installed, well, if you use it, create React app especially, it should tell you where the error is. Um, but yeah, that's also maybe something that comes with, again, having things distributed, um, like in separate files. Um, Google does inline styles because it's slightly faster. Hmm. Okay. Depending on the project, you may outgrow CRA. Yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't use Create React app if I was actually doing a full project. But if I was doing maybe a proof of concept or something, then of course, why not? Why waste time? Uh, Thompson misses React. Okay. Um, well, yeah. Yeah, Perry. Let me see. I'll bring your question over here. So you understand why it was throwing you off. You were looking at it as a question. Yeah, it's basically when this kind of statement, this check is true, then the code will execute. The code inside that block. So yeah, I can see how that could be um, confusing. Traveling salesman problem is pretty fun though. but, that's cool. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm not screen sharing. Thank you. share the screen. All right, Zoom is being slow for me today. Okay. All right, well, let's get started with things. So this is the React 2 guided project. And so what I'm going to do, and I believe this is what y'all did yesterday with Ryan, is I'm just going to walk through and complete this little project with y'all watching me. So fun. Let's see, I think right now I have this, which you guys should be familiar with. It's just the Create React App page that's running on localhost 3000. Okay. I've already set up, there's a couple of instructions here, so we'll go through. And this is the topics here: React's lifecycle, create React app, NPM, and Yarn, which I don't know a lot about Yarn except that it's new and it's supposed to be, I've heard a lot of positive things about it. NPM can be pretty annoying when it gets to some more advanced stuff. There's some idiosyncrasies that Yarn, I think, tries to address. Nesting can be weird. Well, I think they changed it. Anyways, JSON, more on state and sophisticated data, this dot set state, props, flexbox, class name. I didn't see flexbox in here, but I don't believe. What did you all do last time? Ryan, do they code at the same time, or are they just watching me? What did you all do? This is new, sorry. Oh, okay. So it's a code along. Well, that's fun. Okay. I didn't mean that sarcastically. I meant that. Okay, well, let's do that then. All right. Well, let me kill this then. Okay. Okay, I got rid of mine. So let's go through. First, you're going to fork and clone this project and CD into it. So everybody can start doing that. I'm not going to fork it, but that's because I'm not going to push to it. Oh yeah, the link. There you go. Here's the link. Okay. So first clone it. I'll give you guys just a minute. I guess to fill some of the time here while I'm waiting for this, because it would otherwise make a very, very boring video. How is everybody doing with I'm just finding out I've messed up something in my how's everybody doing with the idea of the virtual DOM versus the actual DOM? Any questions there? Yeah. The virtual DOM is pretty smart because creating and removing DOM elements is very expensive. So if you were just recreating the page or a section of the page every time some change happens, that's really expensive. So you could think, although it would be more expensive to do the comparison with a virtual DOM and then add or remove a DOM element than to just add or remove that DOM element. What it's saving you on is all those times you don't have to add or remove, all those elements you do or don't have to remove. And so the idea is that you usually really most DOM elements you don't have to move most of the time, remove or add. Okay, everybody should be, you should have it cloned. You can throw it in X or something if you don't have it cloned, if you need more time. Next, we're going to CD into, and I know a lot of you are using VS Code, so however you do that in VS Code, I'm going to CD into the project. We're good there. And then we're going to run npm install, or we already have npm, we already have create React app, right? Everybody installed it globally. If you didn't install it globally, which means -G, what that means is it installs it on your system rather than in the project. That way you can use it in any project. It also doesn't save it to the the package JSON for that project either. VS Code tab formatted problems. What do you mean, Kevin? Tab formatted problems. I'm not sure what that. I don't know. I don't use VS Code. Yeah. Yeah, I know it takes a while. Oh wait, I don't need that. So we're going to name our app React Friends. That sounds nice and fun. Yeah, no, Kevin, if you have, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by tab formatted problems, but if anybody has any advice for dealing with tab format. You mean tabs as in like for alignment? Install was aborted on mine for some reason. Alex, are you talking about step 2? Step 3. And you did exactly what it says in run 3. Just create React app, React Friends. I don't know. You try again. I don't. So Christy, we're just supposed to fork the repo and clone it, and then run create React app React Friends, and that's step. So that's just step 1 through 3. And install create React app if you haven't already. Wow. There's so many dependencies. I can't even get to, okay. Operation not permitted. Try Googling that and see what you get. Looks like it's maybe a permissions thing. So maybe try sudo in front of it. Yeah, it can take a little while depending on your network and your computer. Yes, you'll do npm install, Ron, but you'll do it in the actual project. Okay. So if you look at the instructions, everything's in the instructions. So, well, most everything. You do need to do an npm install, but also we need to move people.js into the source folder of React Friends. Does everybody see that? Does everybody get what that means? So make sure you go. Oh goodness, it's a mess. Uh, so take your people.js, put it in React Friends source. And then I don't know why do you want to change the port? You have something else running on 3000? Okay. Does everybody get people? Okay. Did you install? Let's see. Did you do this? Did you do globally though, or did you do it without the -g? Mm-hmm. And what? I mean, try this again. It sounds like it's just not. It sounds like it's not installed globally. If something is already running on the port CPI uses, CPI will usually ask you if you want to do it on a different port. And oh, the people.js file was in the original directory. Remember that when you clone this, it had readme and people.js. Inside of here, we used create React app, and we made a new folder called, it all goes in the folder called React Friends. That's our app. And so we just need to make sure that we move that people.js into that new folder, into that its source folder. Cool. Yeah, I don't know enough about create React app to. Um, Yeah, I don't know. Huh. Are you able to just kill whatever you have running at 3,000? Oops. It should be. Look at those. 3. Maybe that. So if I did. Did I already kill it? Yeah, I did. Or I didn't have it start at the beginning. What did I just do? Make sure you come in here and npm install. Well, yeah, I think you need to do that. I don't know how much create react does for you. Maybe you don't. It's not what I meant to do. I think you can do that. No, can't do that. Anyways, yeah, I think it's probably best if you just kill whatever you have running at 3,000. Yeah. Yeah, you're doing Control C, but that's not what's running. We're gonna have to move forward. You could also go in and kill your node process. And that'll do it. Just through your like system set it like system, like task manager or whatever you have. That's probably the easiest way. Yeah. Okay. So okay. That's what I would do. Let's get moving. Okay. So next step. Yeah. Yeah, that's an easy way. It's an easy fix. Okay. Next step. Everybody has people.js in their source file in React Friends? Yes? So you should be able to see React Friends, source, and it should be right there. Okay, and it is simply an array of data, friendless data. And you see it has export, const, people. Cool. And then you can npm start or yarn start. Is everybody's at that point? Okay. So now it says app/people list setup. Inside of app.js, create your constructor function. Don't forget super and add a state object to it. Inside that state object, define an array called people. Okay. So do I need to bump up my, try to make this bigger. Okay. Do I need to bump up my font size? It's very big. Okay. So in here, one thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove this create React. Well, actually, I'm going to remove this. Let's see. I'm going to remove these. Remember that the div, that the main div that we return, the one that wraps everything else, should have the class name that is the same as the name of the class. Is everybody good there? So I want this wrapping div, but I can delete the rest. And that should just, oh yeah, I should have nothing, basically, because I'm not rendering anything really visual. Although I can, let's see. I think it's just in here. Where is it? I want my React console. Oh, there it is. There we go. We have our app, class name app. Cool. Okay. So it says create your constructor function. So we're going to come in to the component. We already have a render function. We want to define a constructor. We're not passing any props, so we don't need props. It says don't forget to use super. And what super allows us to do is to sort of bind, but apply the maintain the this context, right? So I can say this dot state equals, okay, and it says to create a where is it? Define an array called people, the capital P. I'm not sure that I would actually use a capital P. That's part of the instructions right now, so we'll keep with it. And our default is just going to be it's just going to be an empty array. So is everybody with me here? So I'm using just using ES6 class syntax. Remember that. Notice our app extends component. What does that mean? What kind of component is this? It is, so it's a class component. It's stateful. Yeah, it's a class component as opposed to what kind of component? What kind of component? Right, functional or stateless. Not modular. Modular just is kind of the same thing as component. Just means, yeah. But this is a class component, stateful, as opposed to a functional component. And a functional component, remember, is just not going to extend component from React. And what this, yeah. Cool. Is everybody on page so far? So we're using extends, an app extends component. What that means is it's going to get inherit all the methods that are on the component class that from React. Okay. Anybody not finished with this? Or are we good to go? Okay. Next, it says, can anybody tell me why? I think this should be lowercase. Can anybody tell me why I think this should be lowercase? Yeah, it should be camel case. Yeah, it's not a, it's because it's not a class. Usually, we reserve first letter being capitalized for class names, or you can components, which is a sort of it is. I mean, especially here at class, but kind of like those. So class names, components. No, you don't have to change it for this. For now. This is a style. Yeah, I would probably say this is not a stylistic choice. I would say this is probably wrong, because if you don't hold to those, you can be you're breaking that rule, and then it loses its meaning. People.js, the const is people, not people. Yeah, that's fine. I would just say, yeah, best practice. This should actually be lowercase, because I mean, it's supposed to signify something that is not the case here. But just try to reinforce something I taught y'all when we're. I think I went over it with y'all a little bit before. Okay. Yeah, so changes so far right now are just creating this constructor and assigning to in this dot state an empty array to people. And yeah, I think I'm gonna lowercase this. Yeah, this feels bad to me. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we have that. Okay, and this is again the ES6 syntax. Nothing React specific here so much as far as the constructor. Super is also just ES6 syntax. It's similar to saying like it's similar to using call to maintain to apply the context of this class to this. Anyways, and then this dot state, this is React specific. Okay, so let's go. People list. Okay, so we have that. Now we're on step 2. Everybody ready for step 2? Import people data in like so. Import people from people.js. Now, can anybody tell me why we have to put this in brackets? You can't just say import people without that. Right, because it's not default. Right, it wasn't. If you look at it, it's not. It doesn't have export default. So it's actually exported. You have to grab it by the name people. You could also change the name. You could change it to something else, but you need to reference it like this. I think you need to like import people from this as or something like that. Somewhere in there you do as. I can't remember right now. That's just, and this is just, again, this is ES6, import is ES6. It's not React specific. Okay. So now I have this. It says people. Anybody have any questions so far? Remember, this is this path is saying look in the current folder that this file is in, that we're in with this with app.js, and find people.js, which should be alongside it. No, the file names, the capitalization of file names is because you have a component. So that's what I was saying. The capital letters is for like component specific things. Like it's to indicate again either a class or a component. So remember when I was using CSS naming conventions and I capitalized the first letter of a component, even though that's not technically part of BEM. That's something I'm used to because it's, again, that's something that you can do for components, is to signify that it's a component. And components and classes are very, very much similar, especially in React. Yes, you're right, Perry. I just said that this needs to be this, and I didn't do it. Yeah, so that would have broken. No, you're good. Yeah, it would have said that there was no export default. Let's see. Where's my error? I should get an error. I don't know why I'm not getting an error. I should though. Okay. All right, let's move on. Step 3, create a. Oh, so this needs to be dropped in, huh? Step 3, create a method called component did mount and set the people data on state. So how do we do this? The component did mount. Notice it's a lifecycle method, and React is going to look for this during its lifecycle. If you have something in there, then it's going to it allows you. Oops, sorry. So can we do just so? Is it kosher after the constructor to just say, or is it okay after the constructor to just say this dot state equals, or what would we use? Right, this dot set state. This dot set state, and pass it in the object we want, and we'll just say people. Any questions there? Right, Alex. This is normally now. Why did I not do people? Sounds funny. Yeah, ES6. So ES6 says, don't be redundant. Just put in. I don't know. It's not necessary. This still works, but but that's why I did that. If the property name and the value name are the same, then you just use it once. Why not set in the constructor? Because okay, the reason, can anybody tell me why? I guess, can anybody tell me why we do it in component did mount? Yeah, make sure the DOM is loaded before you start adding state. So here we're just initializing. This is kind of like, this is what we expect to happen. We don't want any like, that's not defined and all that stuff. And then but you want to make sure that it's actually your DOM is rendered before you, before you start. setting the actual state. And it's just to keep from having any kind of desyncing issues. Okay. And everybody good on this dot set state? We don't set dot state after this constructor. We don't use this dot state for assignment anymore. After this, it's only for retrieval. Set state is how we'd update the state. Yeah. Okay. So we have that. We have step 3. Step 4, create your people list as a function component and import it in as import people list from people list. Any questions before as I'm moving on? I don't want to be going too fast. Right, Sean's saying this dot set state shouldn't be used in the constructor. This is how you do it in the constructor. Yeah, Christian. Okay. We're doing people's list. Okay, so it says import people list from people list. So obviously this actually means that we need to make a new file and in the same directory called people list. So let's do that. Everybody go in your source file. New file. Save it as people list.js. Cool. And this is going to be JSX. I need to set it up to automatically detect that. It's annoying having to do that. So everybody have your people list JS file? Okay. Anybody not have it? So okay, now what would I do up here? Import React from React. Jason, just making sure everybody created their people list file, and that's what we're editing right now. Okay, so I import React, and then how might I go about assigning, making a function component? So remember, this differs from the class component. Yeah, pretty close. Yeah, so we're going to say const people list. Notice the capitalization there because this is a component, and it's a class, even though it's not using that class syntax. Yeah, and we pass in the props. Anybody good with that? Const, yeah, exactly. Alex has that. Const component name equals props. Then you have your arrow function. ES6 syntax. And then yes, we want to export. We can use export like that. So we could put export here. Or what if I wanted to do? What if I wanted to use default? What if in here I wanted to be able to say just no, I have to use this. Yeah. Export default people. Yeah, people list. Ron, neither of them are. Well, okay. Since I have one thing to export here, just one thing, doing default makes a lot of sense. Because yeah, I'm not going to be importing more than one thing. Same thing here. You could have used default. It would have made perfect sense. Notice here, they also have you can also add exports. You can also just export each like separate classes or what have you, separate separate things. So you notice you're using that with this right here. We're bringing in components specifically, and so we can reference it as component. So that's actually what we're doing here. So it just depends on what you want to do. Right, people list is functional. What that means, it's only presentational. It's not going to store any state or state changes. It's just going to display. You can pass it stuff, so you can pass it properties, right? You're going to pass it properties, but it's not going to have to keep track of you know, clicks and interacting and stuff like that. So it's not stateful in that way. It's only presentational. It's only worried about presenting the information. So we have that. Okay, next we're moving to pass your people data down to people list and render out people list. People list equals people list dot state dot people. Okay, so this part is going to be in our app.js. Before I reference people list in app.js, I would like to first anticipate what I'm instruct what to do with that information when I get it. So let's go to step 6. For each person in people list, render out the first name and last name of the email. So you'll notice here in app.js, I'm going to pass that whole people array. Does everybody see that? So in app.js here, when I call that people component, I'm going to pass it that whole array. Okay, so in here, I'm expecting that to be in the props. And I'm going to anticipate that it's going to be called people. That prop's going to be called people. So I'm going to say, let's see. This is going to be all JavaScript, so I have to nest it in here. Oh, and first we need to return our wrapping div. Okay, so make sure you have your return in here. And we're going to have this outer div, and I'm going to say key, let's see, actually I don't think I need that. I would like it if this had a name, but we're not going to name it right now. Okay. So in here, we're going to say, we're going to have some JavaScript, so we're going to wrap it in there. And we're going to say props dot people. So I'm expecting that there's going to be a people property passed down to me, right? And I'm going to say for each of those, I want to output a set of a set of elements, right? So what can I use here to iterate over people and return those elements? What method? What array method? Right, map. Cool. You guys are with it. Okay. Then in here, I'm going to take each person. And I'm going to return a new element. Okay, in that is going to be, so I want to just output my, the first name, the last name, and the email. All right, does everybody see that from here? Render out first name and last name and email. And these are the keys on there. First underscore name, last underscore name, email. Is anybody not with me right now? So remember that you can only have one element returned by a return statement. You know, you can't have you can't have two divs next to each other being in this return statement. There has to be one wrapping one, or just one. So in here, nest h3, and I'm going to say in here I'm going to put the first and last name. So I'm going to say person dot first name. We'll put a space between. Remember, this is going to be interpreted as this is HTML, and this is going to be converted into sort of HTML or HTML. And I'm going to say person dot last name, right? And then I want the email, so I'm just going to say P. And what am I going to put in here if I just want to show the email next? Yup. Person.email. Cool. So let's so now here I have this is my people list component. Does everybody get that? And so I define how this component works and what I expect when being used, right? So I expect that there's going to be props.people. Is everybody good at that? So now I can call it from in here, and I can say right here, I have my class, I have my app, and I can say, what would I put here? You all can help me out. Since you guys have been through React 1, I feel like. Y'all are getting close. Yeah, there we go. People list, right? But how am I gonna, now I'm here calling the component, but yeah, there you go, Dan. The way I would pass in the, pass down this data is I would say people, and I have this dot state dot people. Cool. And so now this is going to be on the props. This is going to be in the props. It's people because people is not a reserved. It's not a reserved word. And we're setting it equal to this dot state dot people. Is that cool? So let's see if this works. Let's see. I have people list. Oh, what have I not done here? Here's my error. Notice it says dot slash source slash app.js, line 22. Yeah, so it says like, oh, is it something wrong here? Yeah, import. I didn't import people list. Import people list from people list. Bam. Okay. So the question is, so we could say foo equals this dot state dot people, and it would work the same. Well, let's see what happens. If we said foo here, now we're calling the people list component here, right? And we're giving it a property of foo with this value. What is props.people in here? What is that then? If we set it to foo earlier. So right here, what here? I will move this. So here's something. So in here, I called people list, and I passed it foo as a property. So what would props.people be? Actually, this is undefined because we haven't assigned anything to people. Yeah. Right. I would in here have to change all these references to foo. Not that one. So it's this one. This would have to be foo. So if you'll notice, I have cannot read property map of undefined. Do you see that? Because it's looking for props.people, but what we gave it was props.foo. Yeah. So if I change this to foo, and so you're just defining those names, those spaces, then that works. Of course, I wouldn't want it to be this because that doesn't make any sense to what we're doing. We want it to be meaningful, but yeah. So is that cool? So anything that's not reserved like that, like class name means something, all that kind of stuff. Everything else is going to be accessible via like props dot whatever you assign. State. So what? So Ron says state is a bit hard for me to completely get yet, but it's coming. What around state is maybe not clicking as well at this point? Let's see. So you have Tyler. People list nothing was returned from render. In your people list, Tyler, do you have a div in there? Are you returning anything? It was returned from render. You have to see your people list code. Getting some of it, but I am not sure why we are using state, then set state in this .state.people. Remember that we said that we don't want to start trying to populate data before this is finished rendering. So it's just kind of a race for things to be. Yeah, it's a race. It would be a race, right? We want this to. We're basically saying wait till this is actually mounted. This is like on the DOM, and then give it this state. Until then, we need we need a placeholder there because we're referencing it, right? Or else that's undefined. And so this is our default state. This is just saying, hey, this is our default state. We have something in state called people, and that's going to be an array. It's essentially what we're doing. But then we're saying we'll populate that once it's ready. Once we're ready to actually handle the data information. And then this will trigger the life cycle. Yeah, you have on line 9 you have constructor instead of constructor. Okay, looks like you have answers there, Tyler. Yeah. Remember, this is because you're able to import it without the brackets. Remember, because I did export default. This is why. I say this is basically what this says is if you don't try to reference it with these, so by name, then then this is what you're going to return by default. So if something's not being referenced from the file by name using this, right, then just return this. So I could do, I don't know if I can do this. I think I'd have to, yeah. I'd have to do export people. Again, this is just ES6. Maybe not. Yeah, I guess not.
You'll want to delete the default if you do that.
Yeah, I guess you can't do both.
So you think of it like each file in namespacing with import syntax in ES6. Excuse me, guys. Pardon my bad voice. I'm a little sick today, but I'm here. So it's Ryan. In case you didn't know that, in namespacing with ES6, you're going to have to export like a single object from the file, or just a bunch of different defined objects. So if you were to wrap that, export into an object and wrap your stuff, you would be able to use the curly braces to import it in the next file. It's just a way that you can export out multiple things from a single object, multiple components essentially from a single object into a file. But don't get too caught up on namespacing for now. I would just say get used to exporting the default every single place you build a component, and then importing it as the default where you're importing the components into your other components.
Yeah, it's so that, yeah, if you're not doing default, it's so that you can selectively import certain parts of your file. Does that make sense? So that if you only need one method, you're not importing all the methods. You can selectively do it. Okay, yeah, Ron. So component did mount is an actual React method. So React is going to look and try to call this. It's going to see if it's going to try to call this that you have. You're not actually defining it yourself. And what I mean is, this is not something that we just came up with. Component did mount. This is actually something React's going to try to call. And if it can call it, or if it sees that you have it on here, then it's going to call it. It's going to run this code if that condition's met. Basically, if the component has mounted. Does that make sense? So this is reserved. This is React specific. There's these, it's just like render. These are things that React is looking for, and it's going to execute if it sees that you have it defined here on your component. Does that make sense? So yeah, cool. So it's React specific. It's going to look and see if you have those methods defined. Kind of funky, a little bit different. You have to think of it that way. Like I said, it's just like render. Let's see. I'm not getting a list. Nothing in console either. Joshua, I'd have to see your code, or you can also try to inspect your page and see what's there. But I guess, can you paste your app.js? You had 2 instances of npm start going, and neither work now. Well, what you're doing is npm start is just gonna run commands. Basically, it's gonna start a node process. So you can go and kill your node processes. So go and kill your node processes, and then you can start a new one. Let's see. Yeah, okay, component, yep, component did mount. Gotta watch those typos. Fun stuff. Yeah, well, this is if you're actually in the one you're running currently. So if I'm right here, oops, not what I wanted. So if it's the current one that's running here, then you hit Control C. It should be Control C, and I don't think it should be Command C unless it's. Should be Control C, either Windows or OS X. And then it'll kill whatever's running, whatever you're accessing in this terminal. If what's running that you want to execute is not open in the current terminal, then you can go in through your system, like your, what do you call it? I don't know. You can kill it from your, I can't think of the name. You can kill your processes from your, task manager. Thank you, whatever Windows or Mac OS X specific thing it is. Okay. Cool. Any other questions? I mean, now we have this. We should have this, which is pretty cool. React. Does everybody have their React? What's it called? Developer tools installed, or I should say, does anybody not? If you don't, you should have that. You should have that installed. You need to install it. But look, we have our app here, right? Capital A, class name, div class name app. We have our people list. Notice we have our people passed in. It's an array. We can see all that here. Cool. Client's pretty sweet. And look how little code, we got to do that by mapping and stuff. Right, this little bit of code and it outputs all that for us. It iterates. This is really templating. This is what it is. It is centered, yeah. Well, the instructions say to delete the code in app CSS thing. So yeah, selling components. I know this excites everybody. Everybody's just invigorated by this, right? You all just want another reason to use CSS, another opportunity. CSS isn't that bad. Yeah, let's see. Warning: each child in an array or iterator should have a unique key prop. That might be because let's see. Yeah, I didn't do so. I don't know why. Honestly, if you're not going to access it, I'm not sure why. You could do this though to give it a let's see. In people.js, each one has an ID, so that would be the unique identifier. So in here, in this parent div, everybody see what the error that's there? Who wants a key property? We try to do index I. We also have here unique identifiers already, which is ID. So what could I do here to utilize ID for with these to have a unique keys for each one? Yeah, exactly. Key equals person.id. No, that's gone. Also, we're not using logo. We should get rid of it. Maybe clean up a little bit. That should go away. Oh, gotta save it. That should go away. And then yeah, styling. I don't know if you all want to walk through styling with you. Text line center. That's what I would do. We don't have these. We don't have that. We don't have that. This is pretty simple to center. Let's see. Let's do port. Yeah. Let's tell our people list. What do we type in div again? Are you talking about for the unique key stuff? So we have our key property. It's looking for that key. And we're using the unique identifier we already have. So instead of making our own, instead of keeping track of like the amount of iterations we're going through, we're going to use that ID property. Cannot read property person of undefined code in comments. I'm sorry, I don't see your code, Ellen. Oh, I see. That was wishful programming. Let's see. Person, where do you have person? Person should probably be in people list, right? Not in app.js. So if you have your people list, okay, person. Okay, here's your what is state right now, right here? What is this dot state? Do we have a constructor in this component that has any state? Right, so this dot state is nothing in people list. We haven't set any state. Notice the difference here in app.js. And this constructor, all this is specific to the current component. When we call another component, people list, it has its own rules, right? I haven't set up any constructor. This is actually a function component, not a class. It's not stateful. It doesn't have this dot state. Yeah. We had state here we have it here in app.js or in app, right? In this component, and we're passing it via this dot state dot people. What is this going to evaluate to? What is this dot state dot people? If I were to like, what would that actually evaluate to? Right now it's this is just a reference. What is it pointing to? Yeah, people.js file array. Initially, it's an empty array. Then this gets, so after a component mounts, then it gets set with this people. So this dot state dot people after the component mounts is this, which is pulled from here. People, which is this. Well, this array. So it's literally this array. We're passing that array down. We're just using this. This is just our way of referencing it, storing that reference. We're passing it into people list via the name, the props name people. And then in here, we grab that props.people. And then we're mapping it we're mapping over, and we've defined, we're just, for the purposes of this, of map, we're calling each item in that array as, we're calling it person, so that we can reference each one. So person.id, person.firstname, person.lastname, etc. Cool. Yeah, no worries. It's a good question. It's good to go over those things again. Okay. This may be getting ahead, but it's a valid way to structure a modular React app. Body. Root. Yeah. You're using, so basically, yeah, you're using React to create your own tree, just like you would with HTML. The main difference is, of course, you are using React itself, and each component can only return a single div that can have as many children as you want, but it can only return a single div. But yeah.
Can I just say something to that real quick?
Sure.
Oh, thanks again. This is awesome. This is like the nuts and bolts of React, is being able to tap into its life cycle, right? So you have that render method on that and that class component, and you have that component will mount. So I wanted Ivan to demonstrate this real quick. Is all of these things that get returned out of render, it looks like HTML to you, but when that gets passed up to the React virtual DOM, they basically turn that into an object, just a plain JavaScript object. And then that gets like showed against the actual DOM. And it's like, hey, we have some changes. We need to reconcile these changes. And then the virtual DOM will spit out what is going to become HTML. And a way to demonstrate and to keep you guys aware, to not be afraid of these weird looking components, and just understand that all they are is objects. Ivan, if you go ahead and open up your Chrome DevTools, this is something that I learned really early on with React. Oh, whoops.
Oh, hold on, let me get rid of this.
Yeah, you're good.
Starting to.
Cool. So if you open up your React portion of your DevTools there, and you look on app, you have this thing that says pointing to $R. So app right now, so $R is this variable that you can use to see what your React objects look like, okay? So Ivan, if you hover over that, if you click on app and set it equal to R, you can go ahead and in your console, you can just type in $R and see what it's pointing to.
Wait, so do what?
So if you open your console, this right here. Console, yep, type in $R. Check it out. It's just a freaking object. That's all this really is. And look at what's on state now. So look at our people array on state. Boom, there's all the people that we just mounted with our component did mount. It's just an object. And then if you do this again, so go back to your React DevTools and click on people list. Now go back to console and see now that people list on the right-hand side is pointing to $R. So go ahead and run $R again. You can see, oh, for whatever reason, it didn't catch it. Yeah, just make sure. Yeah, let's see if it actually does it this time. Nope. I think you need to, instead of expanding it, I think you may need it collapsed. I don't know. And just keep that hovered, or it may need to be actually. So it needs to be. There's a Chrome console from React here. So click on your little settings cog.
This guy?
Yeah, and I think you can just pull up. Nope, not that one. Wherever it is, you can pull up your actual Chrome. So maybe scroll up from the bottom. So there, you can probably grab that little header at the bottom where it says People List tab, and pull up down below. Yeah, can you pull that up somehow? No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wanted to show you. Okay. Well, regardless, you have a visual representation of your props and state in the right-hand bar of these Chrome Dev Tools. Okay. So if you look at that with React, so if you look at what's on props now on people list.
Oh wait, let's see. Does that work? There we go.
So that changed to that div, which is all these divs.
Yeah.
I wanted them to see the full component.
A people list.
Yeah, but it's okay because I wanted to show you that's a stateless component, a component with without state.
That might be why, because it's a stateless component.
Well, the Chrome DevTools will recognize that and they'll print it out and say this is a stateless component. They'll say people list equals stateless component object or whatever. But yeah, so on the right, if you expand people, you can see what's on props. So this is how you can discover if you're passing data correctly from parent, which is app, to child, which is people list. So on parent, it's on state. On people list, it's on props. And that's the pattern. It's unidirectional data flow from parent to child. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure y'all were aware that all this is under the hood, plain old JavaScript objects. It's nothing to be scared of. It looks a little bit funky with the syntax, but once you kind of know that that's what it's doing, it just becomes so much more demystified, I think. And then if you're in a bigger application, you can use that little search bar to search for your components. So if you type in to the search where it says text or regex, you can find, oh, look at that. There you go. Click on console there, and you'll want to expand and set your, there you go. You get the React little console. Why is it just a div? It should be an object. Okay, there's some stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean,
Either way,
is it because it's functional?
No, I'm serious. It will just show like stateless component as like a visual like object, and because React knows that. React knows when there's a life cycle, when you're extending component versus not. So maybe you have to double click it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Let's see. It's just stuck on.
That's so weird. Yeah, you might need a solid refresh or something. But
yeah, I don't know.
Either way, yeah, lots to just consider here. It's at the end of the day, it's constructor functions with the class keyword. It's objects. It's really. Oh no, that's app. Dang it. Okay.
No. Oh well.
My demonstration failed. Maybe clear the console. Click the little clear button. It's at the bottom left there. Yeah.
No.
Anyway.
This is not, yeah, I've had problems with it before, the React, this dev tool before.
Yeah, maybe there was a breaking change recently or something, but I just did this like yesterday for a couple of students. So anyway, I'll shut up now. Thanks again, Ivan, for letting me butt in.
Yeah, of course. Thanks. Yeah, so that's, like Ryan said, this is, it can be easy to be kind of like mystified by the magic of React. But it's really quite simple once you kind of see the patterns and understand the life cycle and its methods. And I think Ryan posted something in here, a link. He's going to put it on the Piazza too. So for you can kind of keep going over that, keep referencing it. But basically, again, this is just going to look for. It has certain methods it's looking for that it's going to run if you define them, like component div mount, render. Other than that, it has its virtual DOM, which is just its own light representation of the DOM that it's going to use to compare. It's going to compare its previous virtual DOM state and its next one, the new one. And if there's any changes, then it's going to actually make the change. And it's just going to use JavaScript. React is not like, it's not different than like, it's just using JavaScript. React is written in JavaScript. It's going to interact with the DOM. Just like you would with vanilla JavaScript, except it's doing it for you based on some predefined set of rules. Does that make sense? Does everybody? Yeah, I pressed escape and I got that thing. Any questions around all of that? I noticed that Cassidy she started styling hers, which is pretty cool. Very nice. Yeah, I was just going to quickly show you that now I can have CSS be imported into the component itself. So obviously the more files I make in here, what would you all recommend as this grows, as far as code organization? Like you can see how this could very quickly get out of hand, right? But now I think I can say people list. No. Let's see, margin, pixels. Ooh. Oh goodness. Padding, 15 pixels. And we'll say background color. Oops. Gray. Oh, and I need to. That should work. List. People list. Let's see if that works. Nope. Why doesn't that work? It don't work with this much. Can you see styling in here? Yeah, there's root. Hey, Ryan, how would I inspect my styling with this?
You can open up root and you can see the DOM tree that React just dumped into it. So there you go. And you may need to actually add a class to the div, right?
Oh, interesting.
So go back to your CSS file.
Yeah.
And then you have, so you have people list and you're importing it in, but you need to
add it here.
Class. That's a CSS class. So you need to add that to a div somewhere with
class. So it'd be class. I was thinking it was going to use that.
No, it's not that clever.
Nice. Okay. So I'd add it, I would wrap it. It would be in my wrapper then. Feels redundant, but yeah. Makes sense.
What's cool about React 16 is you have the capability of rendering sibling elements now. You just kind of dump them into an array on your return. But once again, I'll come up with a good tutorial on React 16 features for everybody later on. So
that'll be nice. That'll better model the DOM then, and just HTML and all that.
I totally agree. It's a huge issue to just have a bunch of empty div tags.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's not cool.
And you can also render. You can also just render a string now. You don't even have to render a DOM element. It'll put it in there for you.
P tag or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, cool.
Yeah, cool. That is cool. But notice this is awesome, right? This whole component. This is what I was telling you guys before. Remember when I was going to over CSS class naming conventions and creating your own components? One thing I really like about React is that it enforces this component based pattern. And I get to actually define the CSS for that component side by side. So, I'd probably have my components folder just like before. In each of those, I'd have my, my components. This is obviously, these are more like pages right here, app.js and people list.js. Ideally, you would have some actual components, and then you'd have like pages, and then from those pages, you could call those components and such. But yeah, that code organization is really nice. I get to have CSS that is tied only with the with that JS file, right? I only have to import it here. I don't have to import it in some master CSS file, which I think is pretty cool. Cool. So any questions? Everybody sees how I have this styled, and now my component, my people list component, has its own styling rules. Anybody having any other troubles or? Oh, that's so ugly. No, 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 go away. Oh my God. Okay. Oh, that's way too small, obviously. I meant 500. Still not me. Okay. Yeah, Cassidy's does look way better. That's okay. If you lost things, the idea here is just to walk through and try it out. Yeah. Um, nice. Yeah, let's see. If I was going to do this, I'd probably say, ah, oh, shoot. What did I do? Cool. Any, so we have time. Yeah, that was not intended. Yeah, it's fine. I'm recording this. What did I do? Let me think. Let me think about this. Hold on. I've also not used React very much at all. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. And so let me look at my root div, app. Yeah, these should be inline block. It says text align center, max width. Because they're inline block. That actually makes a lot of sense. Because now they're being treated like text items. I would probably have to do something like in here. I'd have to nest it. Anyways, what I would do is in here, I would, and actually this shouldn't be people list. This should not be people list. This should be people list. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. This is my mistake. That is not the people list. That is the people list. That is the people's list. No, that's the people list. This would be something like person, like people list person. Remember all this styling stuff and this nesting stuff? This would be something like that. Getting there. Anyways, which code screen? Do we have time to go over importing something basic like React Navbar? What's React Navbar? Um, what should be, it'll tell you what to do right here, right? So if I wanted to do this, I would simply do this. What is dash dash save going to do when I pim install? That's not what I want. And basically, yeah, I won't install it here, but basically what I would do is I'd install it like this, npm install dash dash save react dash navbar, dash dash save, of course, right, saves as the local project, so it's going to put it into the package JSON. Why would I want it in the package JSON? For the, excuse me, for that project. And so that right when I do npm install, it gets installed everything because I'm expecting to be able to import it. Here, this is using require. We can use import. Yeah, I think if you wanted to do that, you're welcome to do it. And the instructions are all here. So I'd be following it just like you would follow it if you wanted to import that. Organize this by data by last name. So the output is alphabetical by last name. I mean, you could do a sort on it. I mean, you could in app.js, you could do a sort. Yeah, I don't know if the, I don't know that React does anything specific, but you could use dot sort and you could let's see. Dot sort, I think it would be like let's do sorted people equals people dot sort. And then I would think I would probably do something like well, then I would do and return let's see, if we're doing by last name, by last name we do a dot last name minus b dot oops. It's sticking. See if that worked. That did nothing. Um, hold on. Yeah, no, no, there's nothing wrong with this. You might separate out some other you might put in some other. No, there'd be no reason to. No, this is just how your settings state. That's fine. I don't think it's working though. Why is it not working? Anyways, that's what I would do. I have to debug right now. See, yeah. Let's see. Let's try that. Let's try. Dot last name. Yes. Oh, undefined. Oh, duh. Um, it only works for numbers. I thought it worked for letters too. Oh, is it greater than? It's okay. That's what it is. Thanks. Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, Luis. So now they're sorted. My styling rules are terrible right now, but now you have a well wait C-E-A. No, that's not right. Oh, okay. Ooh, is that a nested ternary?
Yeah, the sorry, jumping in.
Very fine.
Yeah, the array sort is a kind
Yeah,
of a bit, right? It's nasty. But basically what it does is it expects something that returns some numerical value -1, 0, or 1, and that's how it knows whether it's before or after. So the number thing works because when you take 5 minus 4, it's going to return 1. And if you return 4 minus 5, it's going to be -1. So it's doing what it's supposed to do, right?
right.
Of strings, though, you have to do the ternary so that you decide when to return 1, -1, or 0.
Right.
So that's why that doesn't work.
Yeah. Cool.
I always have to look it up.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I was trying to do it. I was trying to do it really quickly and without actually looking
no,
at it. And yeah, that was.
yeah, I always have to look it up.
Yeah.
The reason I posted it is like I have to go into the MDN
Yeah.
array site store and look it up.
Yeah. I
All
never
right.
just use it. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. Then you have your sorted array. So remember, you're just your this is just JavaScript. This is just arrays and objects, all the same kind of stuff. So it's kind of nice because you get to do a lot of logic. I mean, some people maybe wouldn't like this, but it's you're mixing your logic and your view stuff. It kind of well, I guess you haven't talked a lot about MVC and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, you can do that too, Thomas. That's cool. Cool. Any other questions around? But yeah, you just do any of any of your array methods are available to you to handle that data. So I stored something called sorted people. That way I understand what's going on, what I'm doing here. This is meaningful. And then it just gets passed down to people list. And people list, has no state. It's not concerned with keeping track of anything. It's just going to display, which is pretty cool. Any other questions before I let you all? I guess I can walk through React 2, React. So here, today you'll be doing this work here, this React 2 work. And be sure to go through the, be sure to read through everything. You have tests. So you'll be running those tests, and those will help you out a lot. But yeah, so here's the basic instructions on how to get everything going. Let me know if you have any questions on that. Yeah, partners, you can use your partner. You can use the same partner or partners. I don't know how Ryan set it up, but however Ryan had it before. Sorry, Ryan was going to take this for me today, but he ended up. I was sick. I'm doing okay. I'm doing better. I'm doing okay, but he's sick now. So I got him sick over the internet waves. Is the joke. But just use what he established last time. Correct one. But here you're just going to be trying to recreate Instagram. Yeah. For extra credit, there's the search. You can use Moment.js to make this meaningful, like 2 hours ago, the date. And then there's also, I thought maybe search is part of the full requirements. But hit me up with any questions. Should have used antivirus, I know. Earlier I made the joke that it's now bit-born. Like cold. Yeah, but I think you guys should be. Any questions about this? Let me pass it to y'all. So you can get started on that after lunch. I won't have an intro to topic because this is basically what that is, just getting you started on this. But any questions? Yeah, because you're working with partners on this. There's a lot of work to be done too, so it'll be good to have partners. If you don't have a partner, then you'll partner up. Yeah, here's the CSS. I think that's so cool. I think that's so nice. So you all can get started on this. I mean, you can start. What you can do is you start setup right now if you want, and then you can work on it after lunch. Yeah, thanks. And ask any questions you have. Ask. Be glad to help. If you're using Bootstrap, I don't have any answers for you. So I never use Bootstrap. No, I can help as much as I can. I can always look up things, but you all should hopefully at this point also be comfortable looking things up for yourself. Did you import anything into the CSS file itself? No, I did not, because I don't have CSS. I don't need. Well, I don't have anything in there anymore. This is only coupled with this component, and because it's coupled that way, when I call in here, notice I don't in app CSS. Notice I don't have to import people list CSS. That's tied with this component because we're importing it here in the JavaScript, and so we've tightly coupled it with itself, which is pretty. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And so you don't think about it. You're not changing people list CSS anywhere else. You're not going to worry about it. This is really nice and clean. And it works. Look, it works so well with the whole component stuff, like I showed you with CSS. Sweet. Any other questions? I'll give you a couple more minutes to ask any questions you have. Remember to look over, keep looking over and referencing the component, the React component life cycle. This is due. If we look at the calendar, let's see. I believe it's just like last time. I know this is all new. This is new for me too. So you're working on it through, yeah, end of day, pretty much. And there's a review at, no, I don't want to modify. There's a review, this is my time. This is also time. So there's a review at 5 Pacific. So you have now until then. Yeah, I'll make sure. I'll post in here if it's any different. But cool. Well, I hope you guys have fun. I hope this is fun for you. I hope this makes sense to you. I mean, yeah. I mean, think about, yeah. This does with very little code, really. I mean, there's a lot of React has a lot of code. There's a lot of code in React, right? And you're bringing that whole thing. So you let someone else do all that work for you, and you can use with very little code. You can do quite a lot, right? And if you're smart about the life cycle, the component life cycle, you can really leverage its methods and make something very, very performant. Cool. All right. Well, thank you all. Have fun.